Okay, welcome to week 5 of Online W131. This begins Unit 2. It's a much different unit than Unit 1. We spent a lot of time just kind of getting acquainted with each other in Unit 1, getting acquainted with college writing, and looking at your own writing in terms of sort of an historical memoir. Okay, those are different skills than what we're going to use in this unit. We're going to build on those skills, but we're going to apply a lot of new skills to it. Okay, mainly this unit is about analysis. It's something that one does all the time in college. It's something one does all the time in business. You analyze something and you present your findings to a reader, to an audience, that kind of a thing. It's a very, very useful skill. It's good for self-help, and it's good in the workplace. It's good for just about any kind of environment. Now, I've chosen to analyze a short story, literature, but there are all kinds of other things you can analyze. You can analyze scientific texts. You can analyze social science texts, political texts, you name it, okay? And in the final unit, we will be looking at other kinds of texts that we'll apply analysis to. So this is a run-up to your research paper, which is Unit 3. Here we're beginning to analyze a text, specifically a short story by Faulkner called Barn Burning. It's a very unusual story. It's not similar to what you've read by Faulkner before, and it has a lot of background that I give you in this unit, so it's critical that you read all of the elements in the learning module for this unit. You must go over to the left-hand side, look at the table of contents there. It says Table of Contents for Unit 2, Introduction to Analysis. And it's critical that you go through all those readings, all those links, step by step, okay? You can't skip anything. You won't get this unit. You won't do very well on your paper, okay? As I said, it applies to different skills. Now, that said, in your textbook, I expect you to do quite a bit of reading. There's more reading over this unit, and it's a 3-week unit, so it moves very quickly. All right. You'll be reading a section on how to analyze a text. You'll be reading a section on literary analysis. All right. You'll be reading the short story by Barn Burning, which is online, and I'm also going to email it to you, so you'll have 2 different copies of it. And then last but not least, you need to read a section in your textbook about introductions and conclusions. Okay, I talked a little bit about that in Unit 1 and as I assessed your papers, but I'm going to stress that much more this time around, introductions and conclusions. Then there's a very important section on finding sources. This will be the first time in this class that you've done some research. You will be doing some research, and once again, this is a run-up for the big research paper in Unit 3. So we're adding to your skill sets is what we're doing. And then there's a section in the textbook called Synthesizing Ideas. That's similar to analysis. You bring your ideas and your research together. And then last but not least, the section on quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, which is critical in the college and business environment. You have to learn how to successfully quote experts and also paraphrase and summarize them. All right. I haven't said this before, but you'll hear it from me all the time from here on out. We don't care about your personal opinions. We care how you arrived at those opinions, and you arrived at those opinions by also looking at what experts have to say about this particular issue. You don't just rely on what you heard, okay, or just what you've heard on the radio or from talking heads, that kind of thing. You actually do the research yourself, and you formulate a supported opinion, and this is what counts in college, okay? So that said, it's critical that you do all the readings, please. Analysis is when you synthesize ideas. You look around you, you have some ideas of your own, and then you look at the text itself that you're reading, and then you look at what some experts say, and you synthesize these ideas, and you create analysis. And that's what your next paper is going to be. Now, that said, we're also going to study how to find research online, section 3.3 of this unit, to send you over to Helmke Library online. I think you'll find that fascinating. Section 3.4 helps you write a thesis statement. This good thesis statement creates a good introduction, which creates a good paper, a well-focused paper, so we talk about that. Then there's a non-graded thesis statement quiz. It's still really important that you take it because it's a learning experience. Now, that said, there are not quite as many projects this time. Over the 4-week unit, Unit 1, you had 2 major projects. This time you have only 1 major project, but it's harder. All right, writing a literary analysis is harder. It's not about hidden meaning. It's about using some tools that I present to you, all right, and incorporating those into looking at something around you. In this case, you're looking at a short story. To do this, I'm giving you a tool called literary criticism. And within literary criticism, there are 2 sub-tools, one of which is called, oh my God, Marxist theory, and then also feminist theory. And I know this really raises the hackles on some people, or some people don't really quite understand what it is. And I attempt to explain to you what theory is and what these 2 kinds of theory are, all right, and why they work. All right. In theory, you have theory in all of your anything you do. It's driven by theory. Okay. If you're in dental hygiene, There's nutrition and hygiene theory. If you're in political science, there's political theory. If you're in art, there's art theory. You can't get away from theory. It's what drives any kind of profession. If you're a stay-at-home mom, there's theory about families, all right? Raising families. There's all kinds of research, and the research creates these theories and supports it, all right? So using theory, I know it's new to you, but it's just simply a way of having a tool to help frame a larger a topic that you're looking at, okay? Help frame your own life, it situates you within a larger conversation about what it is you're looking at, okay? There are all these conversations going on around you for hundreds of years, some of which are expert conversations. They're still going on, and so you learn about those conversations. That's learning about the theory, and that places you in a context that kind of opens up your mind a little bit, okay? This is all about critical thinking. Critical theory, critical thinking, critical writing, critical reading. You're pushing beyond the obvious. You're pushing beyond that first level of talk radio, all right? That's what you're doing with theory. So I introduced you to some theory. These are the tools that you'll use to frame your literary analysis. It's a little difficult. It's a little difficult to get your mind around. If you've not been introduced to theory before, you're going to get a lot of it in college, all right? So I give you a lecture on literary criticism, item 3.1. You must follow that. I give you a lesson on Faulkner's South, the history of the South. I give you a lecture on that. That's critical. You can't look at something without understanding the history behind it. I know you all say, oh, history, yuck. That's not true. History is what made you what you are today, and history is what helps you predict the future and act accordingly. All right? So I introduced you to that. Please pay attention. Please pay attention to the thesis statement lecture. This week, week 5, I want you to be reviewing each other's papers. This is just a friendly peer review. It's not meant to be a critique on how to do it better. It's more so meant to be kind of once more getting to know each other a little bit better. So that's the discussion for this week, on top of which also is due the week 5 discussion, discussion 2, which is, I'm just clicking on it, I'm asking you, what do you think of this theory stuff? Is Marxist theory just a plot to bash the U.S.? Are feminists just man-haters and dykes? D-Y-K-E-S? Is it all just useful liberal gobbledygook? That's the question for this week. Don't try to answer it until you've read my lecture, viewed my lecture on literary criticism, until you've viewed my lecture on Faulkner's South, please. Okay. So if you have any questions, as usual, get a hold of me. I'll do another one of these updates next week. These are important to watch. I certainly hope you're watching them. I can tell the students who aren't watching them, by the way. It shows in your work. So, okay, I better quit rambling on.